So, sometimes you see these market cap things, and to me, it'd sort of be fun to have the world's biggest stocks by market cap just on a website that you can always just go to and it's real time. And yeah, there's something wrong with my computer where if I try to have an active window, it won't. It'll kind of work sometimes, but it won't. So anyway, you scroll down and it populates new companies. So you can sort of see where the biggest companies are. And what I'm going to do is have it be like, well, all U.S. stocks are 80 trillion, and all Swedish stocks are 1 trillion or something like that. So you can kind of keep. Why don't I switch to Linux? But Windows subsystem isn't good enough for you? So I'm kind of fond of this. I got to make some adjustments, but it's a pretty neat little ranking of the companies of the world. And maybe those links will go to Godel or something. Yeah, there'll be a lot of different little features I can add. But I always liked CoinMarketCap. So I can add crypto to that too, and just make little buttons that are like stocks only, commodities. Because what's the gold market cap? Isn't it like 12 trillion? So you think Apple's a big company, then you realize that all the gold in the world is actually worth quite a bit more than Apple. So yeah, we were talking about Mantra, aka Ohm, which got rug pulled late last night. $5 billion crypto, down 90%. S&P flirting with negative territory here. I don't know if EKTX is a buy or not. I really do like the GLP space. I think it'll get bigger and bigger. But why would you compare a productive asset to a precious metal? Why wouldn't you? What, do you think I'm some kind of idiot? Do you think I do not know that Apple is a corporation and gold is an amorphous substance that can be found on the periodic table, that it's a metal? Do you think that's skipped my mind? Oh, you know what, you're right. I didn't realize. One's a conductor of electricity and one's a Delaware C Corp. Thank you. It's just an interesting comparison. Buffett would argue Apple's way more valuable than gold. Is that what you pay for, Mick? I don't think so. I don't like that framework. So people say that about Bitcoin. Okay, it costs a lot of money to make Bitcoin or to mine a Bitcoin or whatever. There's proof of work. I don't think that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Imagine if the same thing was required of TCP/IP. I don't know why people find gold valuable, but it is a societal thing, and it really is a truism of the price of something is whatever people are willing to pay for it, which juxtaposes against the value of things. And this is a forever tug of war that you have to keep in mind. And this is why being a good investor requires flexibility. The price of something and the value of something are constantly in conflict. And you have to be able to accept both concepts. Gold is practically worthless compared to its current price. But at the end of the day, we've accepted that the value of gold is low and the price of gold is high due to either some perceived scarcity or whatever. And it just is what it is. Like, you just can't change it. We have to accept it. It'll never change. And, of course, it's sometimes seen as a hedge against inflation or fiat or whatever, but I don't think gold's necessary. That is a very interesting point, Godel Goblin. I like that. Gold is a Ponzi. You could also call it a corner, if you're familiar with that term. It's a corner that is perpetrated by central banks. I'm usually not a conspiracy theorist, but I kind of like this idea because corners are illegal when you or I do them. If we bought all the shares of some small cap stock and tried to make it go up by not selling it and made it go to a 10 trillion market cap, that's a corner, and it generally is illegal. But if the central banks did that with gold, well, they made the rules. So, yeah, I mean, look, there is something real about gold that has lasted millennia that paper money hasn't, although we've had paper money for a while too. So I don't know. This is a debate that's not going to be solved right now. Like, it is one of these really age-old debates. The silver market was cornered by that's right, by the Hunt brothers. I met one of the Hunts in Dallas, one of the Hunt, I guess, probably grandsons. And because of that corner, the rules got changed. The Volcker created a futures limit rule. Before that, there was no futures limit rule. People like Hunt and me, unfortunately, our minds won't stop working. And we'll constantly think, well, there's a limit on how much stock you can buy, but there's no limit on futures. Let's buy all the silver we can. And that, people who are creative or have a lot of ingenuity sometimes will sort of skip the common sense part of things. Like, does it make sense to actually do this? And some people just do it. And I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. But, Hunt's tried to corner gold and it failed. And I think they had some issues after that. There was a platinum trades failed in the metals market. So there was that too. Yeah, gold had a very specific physical property that allowed it. For example, you can test the density of gold very easily. It's very specific weight, and therefore is like perfectly good kind of tool. So I don't know. I feel like it's interesting to compare asset classes because it gives you a barometer for what's, back to the serious, maybe more serious question, why compare equities to commodities? Well, I mean, it's a very philosophically interesting thing to do. So real estate's a good example. I would venture to say that all of global equities should be worth more than all global real estate. I would actually venture to say that some commodities, this is a tough one. I've always thought oil was a little undervalued, but versus gold especially. It's tough to say. There's a lot more interesting investors than Michael Burry out there. We actually make a point of of pointing them out on this YouTube. You know, there's Michael Burry's not, you know, some big shot on Wall Street. We try to point out other bigger big shots. Do you guys get the frames that are freezing, or is that just on my side? This computer's awful. Somebody sold me a computer with no drivers. How do you determine the value of something? That's also very hard to do. You know, it's not easy at all. And that's why Buffett cabins and limits kind of the limits the amount of things he tries to value, right? There are things that you probably see me sit here and say, I'm not sure I can put a number on this one. And I kind of cop out and say, I'm still learning this business. But usually kind of what I mean is I'm not sure what the pathway is to coming up with a number that I feel comfortable with. And even when we do that, we make mistakes. We're lucky to be 60-40, right? So anyway, I was looking at Crocs. And take a break and hang out with my girl. Might have a half day today, just because we got something going on that I have to attend a little later, but I'll see. And then the rest of the week should be pretty normal. Nvidia flat, S&P, some relief rally. People are holding their breath on Trump, and he didn't say anything too crazy. Pretty tough talk on pharma, but pharma having a bit of a relief rally anyway. So again, hard to know exactly what's in all traders' minds at the moment, but